WWE WrestleMania 36 is April 5th, 2020 at Raymond James Stadium, home of the NFL Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the fourth-time WrestleMania. The Super Bowl of pro wrestling sports entertainment is in the Sunshine State, and first time in Tampa. And look who's here, WWE Hall of Famer, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. He's here. He's excited. He's super excited. It's WrestleMania time.
Is this unbelievable, baby? Can you believe WrestleMania 36? You know, I was on the very first WrestleMania I, back in Madison Square Garden back in the day. I had King Kong Bundy, then I had Came Back Change Jackets, and I had Greg the Hammer Valentine on there. So this is a dream come true for me to still be around this long.
36 WrestleManias, Jimmy Hart. It's incredible. You were in the first one. So WrestleMania 36 tickets go on sale to the general public on Friday, November 15th via Ticketmaster. But there's a big party in Tampa on Wednesday, November 13th. It's going to be at Thunder Alley at the Amalie Arena, which is home of the Tampa Bay Lightning. A big tabang that they're going to have. They're going to have a lot of WWE superstars, legends. Jimmy, you're going to be there. What are those events like when you get to meet the fans? And you can get your tickets. The local, anyone that comes out can get their tickets at that event.
Yeah, it's going to be something very special. Each year when we do this in the different cities we're in, it's so much fun because all the fans get a chance to come out, say hello to everybody, get autographs, pictures made, and it's just so much stuff going on. And a lot of celebrities come to these things too, so you never know who you're going to see. So bring your camera.
Jimmy, tell us about WrestleMania. You mentioned history and that you were part of the very first one. How have you seen the evolution of WrestleMania from that first one at Madison Square Garden to now, to all these big stadiums around the country?
Well, it's so amazing. You know, we're going to try to squeeze 70,000, maybe a little bit more into Raymond James Stadium this year. But, you know, I was part of WrestleMania 1 through WrestleMania 9. And one of that really stands out to me was when I was in up in WrestleMania, which was in Detroit. You know, 93,000 people for that, and it was so special back then. And like I said before, so many of the superstars are going to be there, past, present, and future. But legends come out to this. I mean, people bring their families, their kids. They come from Germany, Australia, Japan, China, all over the world. People even get married there each year. But it just gets bigger and bigger each year.
You're a Hall of Famer, and one of the big events during WrestleMania week, which will be in Tampa, is the WWE Hall of Fame. What was it like to you to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame and to be a part of that WrestleMania week, having the Hall of Fame during that time?
Well, I was a nervous wreck that week, you know, believe that or not. But, you know, being part of the Hall of Fame, when I got inducted in with Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. was there, the Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, and also Paul Orndorff was with that one. So it was very special for me. But it was a great week, and it's just so much fun that goes on there. But last year I inducted Hillbilly Jim, year before last into the Hall of Fame. Last year a Honky Tonk Man in the Hall of Fame. So hopefully I've got 11 more people to put in, so hopefully I get a chance to induct somebody this year too. But it's such a special week, and of course that's on a Thursday night. Fan access is all week long, you know, starting Thursday through the following Monday. But of course on Thursday night we've got the Hall of Fame. Friday night we've got SmackDown on Fox. Then Saturday night, of course, is the big Hall of Fame night. And then
Saturday night will be NXT TakeOver.
Yeah.
Correct?
Saturday night, yeah.
NXT TakeOver. Right, that's a huge event there. And then Sunday we'll have WrestleMania.
Sunday WrestleMania, and then of course Monday Night Raw. So if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to be in heaven that whole week.
It's amazing this stuff. And you mentioned WrestleMania Fan Access, which is Thursday through Monday at the Tampa Convention Center during WrestleMania week. And who knows, you might get a chance to see Jimmy Hart and take some photos with Jimmy at those events. You appear at those events, correct? The Fan Access?
I'll be there every year. I'm at Listen, I'll be parking cars, popping the popcorn, whatever they want me to do. I'm so happy to be. You know, we just came back from Saudi Arabia this past week or so, and at Ringside, it's unbelievable. You know, when you watch it on TV, it's great, but buddy, at Ringside, when I was at Ringside and seeing Team Hogan fight Team Flair, and I was watching some of the superstars in the ring that close to them, and they're just so good and so phenomenal. You know, our area was great, but this area is unbelievable.
What memories do you have of professional wrestling in Tampa? Tampa is legendary. Championship wrestling from Florida, Dusty Rhodes, Gordon Solie, Eddie Graham. What did Tampa mean to you? Did you get to wrestle in Florida during those times?
Yeah, I was really from Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. Our territory was there, but I got a couple of times to come up with Jerry Lawler to manage him with you know, Mike Graham, Eddie Graham, and the great Malenko was there for that too, and of course the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes were there. And what made it special for me, because years later I got to do the theme song for Dusty Rhodes. You know, we wrote a lot of theme songs. You know, Shawn Michaels, the Road Warriors, and then me and my partner Jim McGuire. But like I said, for me to hear that music today, when some of the guys still get inducted in the Hall of Fame or go to the ring, it's just such a thrill.
Now, Jimmy, I knew Shawn Michaels, and I knew the Honky Tonk Man. You and give me the name of the guy that you also wrote the songs with?
Oh my God, a good friend of mine, Jim McGuire, out of Somerset, Kentucky. You know, I was part of a group called the Gentrys back in the day, called Keep On Dancing. We had a $1 million seller, Keep On Dancing. We did all the tours back then. Well, when I got to go to New York to manage up there, which was a thrill, they also let me do a few of the songs that we had coming up on some of the wrestling albums. And so one of my favorite ones was Shawn Michaels' Sexy Boy, with Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream song, Big Boss Man. We had the Road Warriors, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. We had the Honky Tonk Man, the Hart Foundation theme song, Earthquake and Typhoon. The list goes on and on. Hulk's American Made. The Wolfpack by Nash and Hall. We got to do that one. So, like I said, my dreams come true, man.
That's interesting, too, because you were able to parlay your music love and then your pro wrestling success and love all into one. Did you ever think, though, getting into wrestling, that you would be able to make music as well?
You know, it never really, first of all, I never dreamed I was going to go into professional wrestling. That was a great thrill for me, because when I was growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, I used to be the first one in line down at the old Ellis Auditorium. I'd walk 4.5 miles from where I live to stand outside in the wind, the rain, the cold, or whatever, just to raise my hand so I could go in and sell Coca-Colas at the old Ellis Auditorium. So I started loving wrestling back then, but it was such a thrill for me. And I got to see like Billy Wicks and Sputnik Monroe and some of the guys back in that era, Tojo Yamamoto. And so when Jerry Lawler came to me about doing a wrestling album with him in Memphis, he went into wrestling, I went into music. We kind of got together, and all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm managing him on Memphis TV for 6 years, and all of a sudden, I had the magic phone call from the WWF back then, WWE now, and I said, "Feet, don't fail me now, baby." Boy, I was gone. So what a thrill.
Do you miss anything of the old days of pro wrestling? Today's athletes are incredible, you mentioned that, but do you miss anything of the old days of pro wrestling?
Not really, because we're still a major part of it, you know, with our network that we have out now, for the WWE network. That way people can go back and see a little part of the past. But, you know, everything's got to move on. And like I said, we have a great school up in Orlando, Florida, the NXT, which, you know, I know you're familiar with. And those kids are just unbelievable. It's a dream that Triple H had, and he really put it together, because there's no more territories to find a lot of the up-and-coming young superstars now. So by putting our own school together, that way you can develop them there and bring them into the fold. So it's just been great.
So, Jimmy, I have 2 questions for you
Yes,
right
sir.
off the bat. One is, who would you like to induct into the WWE Hall of Fame next out of your group? You said you had 11.
Oh, yeah, I've got 11 more to go. You know, I would love to see the Nasty Boys go in. And I love the Rougeau brothers too, but I love to see the Nasty Boys, because back in the day, they were so close. You know, back in the day when a lot of people would kind of throw stuff at you, jump in the ring, I always had protection with me. It was the Nasty Boys, Knobs and Sags, but I like to see them in. I'd like to see Typhoon in. I'd love to see, of course, the Rougeau brothers. The wrestling referee, Danny Davis. There's never been a referee to go in before. I'd love to have him on there. And there's several more, too. But like I said, for me to induct Honky Tonk Man in last year was a thrill. The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, if I do say so myself. And, of course, having Hillbilly Jim, a good friend of mine, the year before that. So I've always been part of that. But like I said, it's so many great activities that go on that whole week. It's just unbelievable.
And the follow-up to that is, what current WWE superstar is your kind of guy that if you got to put him in, that you would put in?
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. You know, I was at Ringside the other night. I was watching some of the guys in the ring when we were in Saudi Arabia, you know, and Ali is so good. And I was watching, just from our team, and I was watching Ricochet. Oh my gosh, this guy's phenomenal. And that was just part of our team. Of course, Roman Reigns, you know, he's already established, so is Seth Rollins and them. Love AJ Styles. I've always loved him. But there's just so many of the guys. It'd be really hard to kind of focus on anybody particular, you know. Maybe I'd like to put a good girl group together. I used to manage a group called the Glamour Girls. You know, we fought the Jumping Bomb Angels. And Amber Rose, and there was another girl on one of the other teams, I think part of the Ride Squad, that I like to put together and call them If Looks Could Kill, because both of them are the same size, both of them have blonde hair, and that would be such a great team to manage the girls. They're so popular right now.
One last thing, because we know our older fans know, but maybe not our younger. I'm looking over to your right, and I see a megaphone.
Megaphone!
Can you give our younger fans where the birth of the megaphone came and why you have it?
Let me tell you what, I used to carry a cane when I was in Memphis, Tennessee, but due respect to Mr. Fuji up there, when I went to New York, he had the cane, so I wasn't going to, copyright infringements. So one day I'm sitting in the back, and all of a sudden, Vince McMahon walked in and he said, "Jimmy, this is going to be your new gimmick." I said, "Can I paint it, fix it up?" He said, "Do whatever you want to with it. Thank you." So he was the one responsible for that. They brought it back from Japan. And so it's been a blessing for me because I think more people would rather see the megaphone than Jimmy Hart. Can you believe that? But it's just part of my whole thing, and I've had it forever. I really have. We've gone through a lot of them, though.
I like that one, though. That one looks good.
Well, this is kind of special that I brought and everything else. It's got the little logo on there, always promoting, that. But like I said before, I've been so blessed to be part of this company for 36 years, and to be part of the first WrestleMania. I mean, how many people that are around can still say they were part of WrestleMania? And look at the people I've had. I've had the Honky Tonk Man. I've had Greg Valentine, Hulk Hogan, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the Nasty Boys, the Rougeau Brothers, Earthquake and Typhoon. I've just, Terry and Dory Funk, just to mention a few, and not counting my Memphis territory with Jerry the King Lawler. So, like I said, I've been so blessed to be part of this company for so many years.
Jimmy, how many megaphones do you have? That's a different one, right? That's a special one.
Back in the day, they used to have a big trunk full of Mr. Fuji canes, Honky Tonk Man guitars, and megaphones, because we go through so many of them. But believe it or not, these old megaphones have won a lot of matches for us.
That's funny, too, because Mr. Fuji has been known to be a big ribber.
Woo.
And I wonder, did he ever rib you with any of the megaphones, or no, he never got you on
We
there?
were pretty loyal. All the managers are very loyal. Me and Bobby and Lou Albano and Fred Blassie and everything else, too, are pretty loyal to each other.
Jimmy, you managed many great teams, and one that I wanted to bring up was the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart, Jimmy Amble Neidhart. Tell us about, that just fits so much, because with Jimmy Hart, Bret Hart, Neidhart, it just all came together, even with the names. Just what was your take of managing them and just being a part of that whole experience with them?
Well, when I was in Memphis originally, I had King Kong Bundy, the Iron Sheik, Rick Rude. I had so many of the guys down there.
The First Family?
Yeah, First Family, and Jim Neidhart. And so when I went to New York, the first person I managed was Greg Valentine. Then they gave me King Kong Bundy before I traded him to Bobby. And then all of a sudden, one day they said, "Look, we're going to give you Jim Neidhart." I went, "Great, I knew him from Memphis, and I knew his whole family and everybody back from then." And so one day we were together about 2 or 3 months, and they said, "Look, we're going to make y'all into a tag. We've got a new partner coming in for you." And I said, "Great, Bret Hart." And we went, "Oh man, this is awesome." And I didn't realize that he was married to, that Neidhart was married to one of Bret's sisters, right? And so all of a sudden, it just, it was a marriage made in heaven, man. It just worked out so good because everybody loved Bret, And Neidhart and I, we were kind of the rebels of the group, Neidhart with the, pulling the goatee all the time, and me going, "Hey baby, what?" So it just worked out great. So we had a great run with the belts, and of course some of our great teams that we fought, the Bulldogs, were just tremendous. What a great matchup these were. So, like I said, it was a lot of fun.
You ever think of, I know John Devine mentioned about wrestlers now. How about tag teams? Someone like the Revival. I think you would be great with the Revival.
Oh,
but there's so many tag teams that are out there.
Very good. I like them, and they're great in the ring. A lot of no nonsense or anything else, and they can speak and talk and everything else too. But like I said, they're very, very good. But I think it looks like maybe WWE is leaning a little bit more, trying to feature tag teams a little bit more. And all the kids up there are so good right now, very good.
You mentioned Bret Hart. What do you think of the Hart family legacy and what it's meant to Canada and what it's meant to pro wrestling?
Oh my gosh, they've been through so much tragedy too, through the years and everything else. But like I said before, what Stu, when he had the dungeon up there, and so many great wrestlers came through up there. And just the history of the Harts back from Calgary, still lives on today. But having Bret in the ring and Neidhart, and then all of a sudden the late great Owen Hart, he was so good. Matter of fact, we did the theme music, me and my partner, for Coco Beware and Owen when they were together. And so we did the theme music for them. But like I said, I got to see Bret last year at the Hall of Fame and everything else. And, like I said, he just always will be in my heart and one of my favorites.
Did fans or people think you were related to the Harts because Jimmy Hart?
Right. Well,
Did they think that?
You're right. But I always thought that me and Neidhart, we were all brothers, or probably at my age, they probably thought I was their grandfather. Who knows? But like I said, the Harts were just so special. But all my tag teams were,
Now, I mentioned Megaphone. What about the jackets? How did the jackets come to play, and did you design your jackets, or do you have anybody special to design your jackets?
Well, here's what happened. When I toured with the Beach Boys and all them for Dick Clark's Cavalcade of Stars, I remember one night Dick Clark gave us a speech with the Beach Boys were in the room, Sonny and Cher were in the room, because back then it was several groups together. So we're sitting there from Memphis, Tennessee, on our P's and Q's really listening, and he said, look, when you're on stage each night, take care of your outfits. Try to be on time. Be dependable. Some nights you might be sick, but do the best you can. But remember one thing. If you dress like the audience, one day you're going to wind up sitting in the audience. So be colorful. So when I heard that, even to my wrestling days now, I still wear the jackets with the hearts or the airbrush jackets. And with all the people that I used to manage back then, I felt like with the colorful megaphone and the colorful jackets representing them, it would help us get over that much quicker. So it really turned out great. It really has.
How many jackets, about how many jackets would you say you have? Do you have like a closet just for the jackets?
I have a few left. I gave a lot to Sue Edgerson up at the WWE back when we were going back and forth and not managing so much, so she could give to Make-A-Wishes and for auctions and stuff like that to raise money. But I still have a few left, and we still have a few megaphones left, and a lot of memories. I have a dadgum storage full of nothing but memories, you know, and everything else. But it's really the future now. That's why I said before, I'm so grateful to still be doing this and talking about the product. And that's what's so good about WrestleMania coming up. Can you imagine, if you're a WrestleMania fan, the Hall of Fame on Thursday night, Friday night SmackDown on Fox, Saturday night you've got the big NXT show, and of course they're on USA now doing great. And then of course on Sunday WrestleMania, and then Monday turn back around you got Raw. So like I said, it's just a dream come true if you're a wrestling fan.
There are so many community events too that WWE gets involved with.
Yeah.
Special Olympics, book reading, Breast Cancer Foundation. It's just
Connor's Cure.
Connor's Cure, another great one. Be a Star, anti-bullying, and they'll be doing events during that week too with WWE superstars interacting with those groups and with kids and with people, and that's an amazing thing as well. And WrestleMania 36, April 5th, 2020, marks your 6th decade. We're getting into 2020. Associated with pro wrestling and sports entertainment. What do you love about the profession, about the business?
Well, it's just something that just takes a hold of you. If you like, you know, some people are football fans, baseball, basketball, and everything, but the wrestling fans are so loyal. I mean, they are so, people don't realize how loyal they are. You know, when you go to a lot of these autograph sessions around the country, you know, they'll bring the merchandise, they'll bring the action figures, they'll bring everything. And I'm just so happy too. I just got my first pair of Jimmy Hart socks with a logo and everything on. I was showing them to my good friend Adam over here, Hopkins, that's been with WWE for as long as I've been there.
Yeah, I was going to say, has he been there longer than you? I don't want to take away the whole interview.
I don't know if it was for the first WrestleMania, but he is so great, and every time they call me each year for WrestleMania, I'm so glad I get to go with him. All the people are great, but especially him. But I just showed him on my phone a while ago. I said, there's my first pair of Jimmy Hart socks. They got the big megaphone and the face on the front of them and everything. But, you know, we have merchandise out once in a while, too, and I'm hoping pretty soon they'll put a Jimmy Hart megaphone out. I can't believe Mattel. If you're listening, Mattel, don't forget now, I had my last action figure with you, but what about the Jimmy Hart megaphones?
That's gold. That's a million seller right there. That's gold, Jimmy.
Is.
So, Jimmy, you mentioned the Gentrys. We're going to start wrapping this up, but musically, you were involved in the Gentrys. You had a million selling record.
Right.
Was it difficult to leave music?
Well, not really, because like I told you earlier, when I was growing up, a little bitty Jimmy Hart, I used to walk 4.5 miles to the Ellis Auditorium to raise my hand so I could sell popcorn and Coca-Colas that night, so I could have everything sold so I could watch the main event. And it was just something I loved back then. My uncle, JB, who lived in Jackson, Mississippi, when I had 2 weeks vacation from school, he'd always take me down there, and I got to go watch professional wrestling down there. So I'd always really loved it. Never thought I'd ever be into it. But then once I got in it, I made sure I wanted to stay as long as I could, you know.
John?
Okay, so I was thinking, you were talking about Mr. Fuji, Classy Freddie Blassie, all the great managers from those days. I know we have Paul Heyman now, but would you like to see a return to more managers today?
Well, you know, if it really fits in, I love Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's interviews are tremendous. I love them. But, you know, they've had so many great managers through the years. You know, Jimmy Cornette, awesome. I love him. Bobby Heenan, one of the best ever. So for my name to be mentioned with any of those guys, I'm thrilled for it. But like when I came up there, my era was Mr. Fuji, Lou Albano, Fred Blassie. I missed the Grand Wizard back in the day. I got there right after the Grand Wizard had kind of retired, you know. And, you know, Slick was up there. So many of them.
Johnny Valiant?
Yeah, Johnny Valiant. Oh, my gosh, yeah. And he was part of the Valiant Brothers back in the day. But most of the guys we talked about were ex-wrestlers that turned manager. So I think me, Paul Heyman, and Cornette were about the only ones that never really were wrestling oriented. We had our matches, you know, gimmick matches and stuff. But like I said before, hey, look, I always keep my megaphone ready. My jackets are clean. If WWE, well, I got to go out to the ringside at Saudi Arabia with Huckster's team. I was on Huckster's team. We got to be on SmackDown, and I had a great appearance on that a couple of weeks ago, and Raw a couple of weeks ago with Huck, with his team, going against Team Flair. And so I guess I had a little taste of it then. And let me tell you what was so exciting. Back in Ireland, you know, I managed a lot of people. But next to ringside in Saudi Arabia, when in the ring you have on our team Ali and Ricochet and Roman Reigns, just to mention a few. And on the other team, you know, I had Corbin and all the guys over there with Rick. And I'm watching all of them together, and it's just so unbelievable. When it was over, I ran in the back and said, oh my gosh, I should have paid to be by ringside this year. These guys are so good. You just don't realize it till you see it.
WrestleMania 36, April 5th, Raymond James Stadium in 2020 in Tampa. And you have the big ticket on sale. The big general public on sale is Friday, November 15th via Ticketmaster. But the big party, if you can make it to Tampa, go to Tampa. It's free, open to the public. You can meet legends like Jimmy Hart. You can meet so many superstars from WWE. There's going to be a couple matches. There's going to be a lot to do there. It's going to be at the Amalie Arena, which is in Tampa, where the NHL Tampa Bay Lightning play, and they're going to host several events during WrestleMania week. I believe Hall of Fame, Raw, SmackDown, NXT TakeOver will be there, and then you're going to have this big event on Wednesday, and you can get your tickets if you're at that event.
Yes, absolutely. So that's going to be something special for the local people there. But like I said, if you've never been to a WrestleMania, trust me on this. You need to go, because it's something you've never seen before in your life. I mean, it's just phenomenal. It really is.
You're always keeping busy, Jimmy, and you do so much work with WWE, and now you're doing the WrestleMania events, which is great. Anything else that you're up to these days? What other things is on Jimmy Hart? Because I know your plate is very full.
No, but you know what? Everything has been great. You know, like I've just lived the dream for so many years, you know. And I say this every time. Sometimes I look in the mirror, pinch myself, and go, did I really get paid for doing this my whole life? That's how much I've really loved it. But WWE has always been very, very special. My Memphis territory with Lawler and all them was very special to me, because if I hadn't been there, they'd have never saw me getting in. But I still like to, trust me, every Wednesday night I watch the NXT. A lot of great young talent coming from there. Triple H has worked so hard putting that together. And they got so many great people there helping them. You know, Shawn Michaels is out of there now. And so, you know, this guy sold a lot of tickets in his lifetime, right or wrong. And then I still do a lot of stuff with Hulk, the Hulkster, you know. And he's got his couple of shops, one in Orlando and one in Tampa. And so I go down there and do little autographs for him every now and then too. But we've been friends for over 40 years. Wow. Can you believe that? 40 years. But like I said, for the people that I've had a chance to walk to the ring around the world with everywhere through the years, you know, from Honky to the Nasty Boys to, you know, Greg Valentine to Earthquake and Typhoon to the Rougeaus, everybody. I mean, the list goes, the Funks, you know, everybody. I've just been so blessed to be with them, you know, and it's just been great.
Are you doing any more music?
You know what? I've been thinking about doing some music. Some people have called about that, you know, but it's hard to top Sexy Boy by Shawn Michaels and the Road Warriors and the Hart Foundation and the Nasty Boy songs and the Wolfpack by Nash and Hall. Hey, me and my partner Jim McGraw, we even wrote the wedding song for Liz and Randy back in the day together, and which has been played so many times. But like I said, I've been thinking about maybe doing a country song, you know, and doing something with that, you know. Call myself Jim Ray Hart. That's a good country name, isn't it? But Jim Ray Hart, you know. So we just, you know, who knows what's in the future? But right now, it's the WWE all the way, man. So we wear the logo very proudly.
All right, Jimmy, and I love the glasses, by the way.
Oh, thank you. These are some of my original ones. If you look at some of my original pictures, I always pull them out when I do my WrestleMania stuff.
Jimmy, take us out. WrestleMania, you got the floor. Close us out on this.
This is unbelievable. Hey, Hey, take it from me, the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. You got to get your tickets. You got to get them now. They go on sale Friday. WrestleMania 36. Unbelievable. Can you believe I'm still around after all these years? We love you. The WWE Universe.